I was told no many times. Everybody, now that I have been working with you and I have a wildly successful IndieGoGo campaign where I'm funded at like 100 and just about 180% now, which is really great. Everybody now is like, oh my gosh, how does this not exist? Like, this is so great. I can't believe it. So wonderful. Those first several weeks, possibly several months, and I've just blocked it out, were just constant no's. Constant, like, it seems like a good idea, but it must not exist for a reason. Or it's a really great idea, but there's just no way you're going to do it. Like, you're busy. You don't know anything about manufacturing. You don't have the money because it clearly takes serious capital to develop.
All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Launch and Scale. The Launch and Scale podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button as it helps you get notified of new content that goes out, and podcast subscribe. But anyway, guys, this is not about me. I'm super stoked to talk to our guest today, Lisa Myers out of Seattle. She is one of our Launch and Scale members, where if you don't know what that program is, I might just get her to talk about it, but it's our intensive help where we really work with you to bring your product to launch in a group setting. And Lisa just launched a breast milk cooler on IndieGoGo a few weeks back that's doing really well. And the reason I wanted to bring Lisa onto the podcast or YouTube is not for shameless promotion. It's because something that she did behind the scenes leading up to her launch was very against what traditional methods of building up for a Kickstarter campaign or IndieGoGo campaign preach. And I think she's done some really awesome things behind the scenes that I wanted to bring to light that were honestly the reason why she is successful and continues to be successful with this. But I'm going to shut up and just like, Lisa, why don't you, first off, welcome to the show. I'm just super pumped for you to be here. And it's Monday morning, so I'm halfway through my first coffee, still waking up. But in saying this, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, can you go into what your product is, what you do on the side, that sort of thing?
Okay. So if it's early for you, it's really early for me because I'm a whole 3 hours. so if you're off, I hope to not be really off. But yeah, my name, as you said, Lisa Myers. I am founder and creator of Series Chill. It is a breast milk chilling bottle. So think Swell, but for chilling breast milk. And it's really like nothing the world has ever seen. It's kind of been, it's been a hard process, but I have to say that being part of Launch and Scale has been a huge help because it's given me a lot of perspective and focus. I came up with the idea last October. I returned to work. I had my son in July, and I had a couple short months of maternity leave, which is traditional in the United States, not so much in Canada and the rest of the world. But I came back to work. I was so impressed with myself. I had all of the parts for the pump, and I got the milk, and it was lined up in little tiny adorable bottles that were very clearly breast milk along my desk. And I am the only woman in my department. I am an attorney in an international law firm, and I happen to be the only woman in this particular group. And the guys are great, but it's also not necessarily something you want to have sitting on your desk. So the next step was, how do I get it to the refrigerator? Do I store it next to everybody's lunch? And I thought, no, there is a better way. There is definitely a better way. So I started looking for what I needed and quickly found that it did not exist, which blew my mind. I worked with a couple of the friends that I have in the IP department, really great people who did searches for patents, found that there was nothing quite like it. So I was off to the races. I was told No, many times. Everybody, now that I have been working with you and I have a wildly successful IndieGoGo campaign where I'm funded at like 100 and just about 180% now, which is really great. Everybody now is like, oh my gosh, how does this not exist? Like, this is so great. I can't believe it. So wonderful. Those first several weeks, possibly several months, and I've just blocked it out, were just constant no's. Constant, like, it seems like a good idea, but it must not exist for a reason. Or it's a really great idea, but there's just no way you're going to do it. Like, you're busy. You don't know anything about manufacturing. You don't have the money because it clearly takes serious capital to develop. I mean, if you have an app, I think maybe the software stuff is a little bit easier to do with money, and it just has to be you pouring your brilliance and time into it, which is still a commodity. But having money to develop a product and to manufacture it is a lot. So it was all no's in the beginning. And I was determined. My husband was supportive. I also am lucky enough to be a woman that makes her own money, and I don't have to ask a lot of permission. Obviously, I take my family's finances into account, but I think that we're seeing more and more products for women by women, because you're seeing more and more women like myself that are encountering these problems, that are seeing a solution and then have the resources to act on it, and then have a network of women like yourself. Like you have said before, and you don't say it a lot, but you're one of the only women in this space of crowdfunding and consulting in this area. And you certainly, that's not what you lead with, but maybe it was why you were willing to listen to me, and maybe why when I listened to 10 hours of your podcast many, many months ago, what you were saying resonated with me. I'm like, oh, hey, maybe this is somebody that could help me get where I need to be. So very early on, and then I will stop talking about very early on in January, I spoke with Mike Glavin of ZenBivy, and he had launched on Kickstarter, and he gave me really great advice. I think that everybody probably has a story of like one or two people very early on that had a similar experience and went through it. And he told me, you got to start building up your audience. You have to start building up your tribe, like you always say. And he said, this is the great analogy, and I use it a lot, but crowdfunding is like a bar. You can see the beautiful signage, down the street. You make a beeline for it. You walk in, and no matter what beer they're serving, if they have your favorite drink and food, and it otherwise is a great atmosphere, if there's nobody in the bar, you turn to whoever you're with and you're like, there's another bar just down the road. Let's go there. Because it just doesn't seem like there's any other support for sticking around. And so with crowdfunding, you have to have that trust and credibility. And so having a large group of people that appear to trust you early on is critical. So yeah, that was, I think, listening to you, having that early advice. I had a crazy gangbusters opening day with my campaign where I was fully funded in like 12 and a half hours. Who was counting? And I was an IndieGoGo team favorite and like the top trending like health and beauty product, all those things. And it was really great advice that I had to get to after getting past all the no's.
Yeah, I think I want to unpack the no's a little bit, because when I see no's, I think you'll get people who doubt you. But then there's also the moms that you'll go speak to kind of validate or get their get an understanding of like who they are, why they would use the product and stuff like that. When you went out to moms to actually started to get feedback outside of yourself, validation outside of yourself, just to make sure that you kind of did a gut check, that you weren't the only woman on the planet that wanted this thing, like what was the response like with women around your product? Was it still fairly negative or was it positive?
100% positive. So
okay.
I think the mistake I made early on was speaking to professionals who didn't necessarily, that weren't facing the same challenges I was. So a lot of guys that I turned to for, advice on cases I'm working on, or business people, or there were a few women that I was friends with, but were not in the whole terrible weeds of breastfeeding and going back to work and all of that. So every mom I spoke to, and I have to say, other great advice I got was, if you have an idea, you have to start sharing it. So there's a lot of this, like, I'm really worried somebody's going to knock me off. I'm really worried somebody's going to get there first. Like, I have to keep it a secret. And great advice that I received is, it's not going to ever be anything. And you're really never going to go anywhere unless you start talking about it, unless you start engaging people, getting feedback, getting ideas, improving on the concept. And so I think what gave me the confidence to start doing that is I filed my own provisional patent, which I would say, and this is not legal advice, this is unofficial, awesome podcast with you,
of course, yes.
But just about anybody could do. You can find examples on the internet. The provisional patent piece is where, if you want to just protect your idea and start getting out there, you can do that. It's the patent. It's the real deal moving forward with your patent, where I think that having great legal advice is there's nothing else you can do except get really solid legal advice and somebody supporting you. Certainly you have to have a great foundation in your provisional patent and not screw that up. But I filed a provisional patent. I was off to the races, and I started talking to anyone that would listen to me, and every single mom I spoke to was like, oh my God, how is this not part of my life right now? I can't believe I'm done with breastfeeding. I feel like so many moms, and this is hilarious, but I think it's a testimony to my awesome product, have said, I might just have another kid. Like, I might just have another kid just so I can use this, because this would make it so much easier. So, speaking to other moms is what certainly has kept me going, and having their support and constantly realizing the ways it has improved my own life has been huge.
And you bring up a really good point where certain founders may be like, okay, so I have a product and now I have to validate my product, so I'm just going to go talk to my mom and my friends and see what they think about the product. You got really negative feedback by going to the wrong people who didn't understand the core problem. And so that means that you have to be very aware of who your person is and be sure that you're getting real feedback from those people you would call your customers, like the breastfeeding moms versus the corporate lawyers.
Right.
Because you see the difference in feedback. Like, the corporate lawyer's like, oh, that's dumb, or that's too capital intensive, or I don't see a market. It's because they're not your person. So just being careful of who you really seek feedback from on the product level. Yeah.
And something that I've learned through the Launch and Scale program is really getting deep into who your avatar is. I didn't know what that word meant before. I was such a person to this, but knowing who you are trying to sell to, because once you get into it and once you're developing your product and you're looking at it so intensely every day, you're completely blind to so many of the aspects that you need to be covering, whether it's through your advertising or your messaging or your price point or any of those aspects. And so doing that foundational work through Launch and Scale was that was fundamental. It's the fundamentals, and it was truly that.
Yeah. Because that, like, you use that to build your video, build your page, build your message. Like, everything kind of spawns from that, right?
Yeah, and if you get that wrong, you're just wasting a ton of money and time.
Yeah. So on the financing part, did you do this totally bootstrapped, or did you have an investor?
No, totally bootstrapped. So several investors approached me. I did not go looking for venture capital or any sort of angel investors. It still might be something that I consider, but so far I have funded the first run of manufacturing on my own. I have a little bit of debt that I'm working on, of course, but no, there were no outside investors. It was totally 100% my IndieGoGo campaign, and then whatever money I could scrape together otherwise.
Awesome. So I'm going to give some context for people that don't know how pricing and hiring people and audience building and how that thing works, so that our next topic, you guys kind of appreciate it for what it is. So Lisa mentioned before how it's your success with crowdfunding is, and even launching a restaurant, if you want to go there, is about your ability to bring people in and prove that it's a product that people want. So the first day is so important. Like if your whole success on an Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaign depends on your ability to show that platform you're a popular project. So you have to rank on their site, and the only way you could do that is by having a tribe of people that come in and support you on that first day from your own audience. And so if you're a first-time founder, you may not know where you're going to find that audience. So there's a couple of ways depending on your budget. It really comes down to if your goal is 100,000, you need to bring in 30% of that in the first day. So the question is, okay, how big of a tribe do you have to build to be able to bring in $30,000 on that first day? And so you could do this through paid methods like Facebook advertising. You can do it through friends and family. You can have a bunch of influencers posting about you. Dump in your own money, which I don't recommend. But it comes down to a money and resource game. So a lot of companies, what they'll do is they'll literally say, okay, well, if I need $30,000, I need to spend 25 grand on Facebook ads. And that to a lot of founders seems super risky because you're paying for leads, you're not paying for actual customers. So it's like a bit of a risky game, a lot of upfront capital. And I find that a lot of founders, because they look at the price tag or they don't know the price tag, they really butcher the audience building, and they go and they launch and they're like, why do I have one customer in 50 days or whatever? It's so bad. And so I think, Lisa, with you, I'm not 100% sure if we did this, but I think early on we looked at your numbers and I was like, okay, if you did this ad spend only, you have to spend $15,000 and considering you're a bootstrap founder, I assume you were like, fuck that, let's look at another way. So that's one of the things I love that Lisa's done really well is, as a bootstrap founder, she didn't have thousands and thousands of dollars to play with because a lot of that had to go into manufacturing and product development. So I want to talk about what she did really well, which is curate her friends and family network to help her have a really strong day one. So I guess, Lisa, any comments, or do you want to speak to what I just went over with the typical methods and just your perspective? Yeah.
You're 100% correct that it is an intimidating initial spend. And some people have that resource. They have the money, or they have a working knowledge of Facebook ads already, and they know they can be really effective and get leads that way. I didn't do a bad job with that. I don't think. I worked really hard at it. I had really effective Facebook and Instagram ads. My challenge is around my product largely because it is a mom product. Mom and children products are typically not products you see in crowdfunding, partly because it's a largely guy, techie, kind of the new sharper image type world. And for moms and parents, the timing is so critical. And crowdfunding usually requires you have several months before you deliver a product. So I needed to have my product manufactured by the time the campaign ended, which meant I needed all the money up front. That is scary and daunting, especially when you're talking about spending thousands upon thousands of dollars in Facebook ads. So I knew I had to do it a different way. And listening to everything that I learned in Launch and Scale, I'm like, oh, this is just like political campaigns. I've run campaigns. I know how to do this. This is call time. This is getting the candidate on the phone, sending out the email, certainly, but not just an email. You have to touch people and make sure they remember what it is about you that they believe in, and why they want to see you do great things. So for me, it was partly who I was and the product itself. So I believe in the product. I could go on and on and on about the social injustices of breastfeeding. I won't do that. But with the people I was reaching out to, I did. I was very careful about the way I spoke to my friends. my past political colleagues, elected officials that I'd worked with, judges that I clerked for, really incredible human beings out in the world. And I'm not saying that people have to have that sort of a base or a background to be able to do this, because really it's just being able to make the genuine ask of people who already care about you and trust you. And I sucked at that before. I was good at being a campaign manager and managing somebody else doing that. I was not good about that in my own life. And I have to say that this experience, like bringing this product to market, has been the best thing to happen to me in my life, no matter what happens with the bottle, because all of these people came out of the woodwork. People who would overhear me in conversations, people who I had been casual friends with for months or years, said, "Oh my gosh, I can help you set up the website. Like I'm a graphic designer. I can help you with this aspect." Like, IP attorneys that are like, "Let me help you make sure you copyright your intellectual property correctly." And so what I've realized is that people want to help you. They can't help you if they can't identify a way in which they can help you. And I've loved helping them. And the only way that happens is if you make the ask, or if you show up in a way that presents them with an opportunity to really make a difference. And so that's what I did with my first day, is I looked at it like a political campaign. You fundraise up to election day, and I treated it almost as the fundraising effort for like the big pinnacle fundraiser of the campaign season, as well as election day. That I know that you've said you've worked with some founders that didn't realize the importance of the first day, that knew they had to do well, but maybe were otherwise distracted or engaged. And I have a very busy life. I have 2 little kids. I have a successful legal practice. I'm really lucky for all of the things that keep me insanely busy in my life. But I knew that first day and the 2 days really after were everything, because I needed to speak with the people that were important in my life, and I needed them to understand what I was trying to accomplish and how important the first day was, because it's just like a campaign in that everybody thinks their vote doesn't mean something. And then you get an elected official that you really can't bear in office, and you're like, how did this happen? And it's like, well, you and everybody that you care about and respect didn't bother to vote. So that's what happened. I mean, that is what happened. And so I had to talk with a lot of my friends and say, I look successful, and maybe it feels to you like I'll be successful, but if you don't buy a bottle on the first day, if you don't support me, I won't be. I am telling you, I'm looking you in the eye, and I am telling you I will not succeed, and I need your help. So please help me. And I think when you do that and you treat those first 3 days, I mean, I literally went to some people that I have the greatest respect for in the world, and I said to them, listen, I probably won't be running for office, and I know that you have been there for me before. This is your one chance. This is your chance to change my life. Like, this is it. I will not ask you again. I am asking you now. Like, this is when it matters. This is when it means the most. You have an opportunity to change things for a lot of women, and you have an opportunity to show up for me. I need you to do it at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, July 25th. And then I need you to do the following things. And I made it clear. And as you said, a lot of people aren't familiar with crowdfunding. Lay all the steps out. Make sure people understand precisely the steps they need to take to make a difference. And then communicate that they're capable of making that difference for you. So that was a long answer to your question, but it was my political experience for sure.
That's great. And even people, the difference between what you did, because I'm going to dig in a bit more to how you enrolled activity out of your friends and like family, but asking for support doesn't mean waiting until the first day and then using green inbox or another, like, whatever, just to like blitz all your friends with messages. Hey, support me, thank you, bye. Like, it's not about that. It's about having a good pre-launch, like a lead up and giving people notice so that they can understand your product, so they see how much you're putting into it. So Lisa, can you tell me a bit more about how you actually put it together? Like what kind of the average person, what kind of notice did you give them? And can you walk me through the communication steps? Like a week before you did this and a day before you did that, like.
Yeah. So I launched July 25th. I had the idea October of 2018. I spoke with Mike Glavin of Zenbivy January of 2019, as well as other amazing people, Paul Fish, Mountain Gear, all these incredible people that have helped me along the way. But all pretty much in January, I realized I needed to start acting. I sent out an email to friends and an email to family. And my friends was different professional contacts, as well as close friends, a few moms. And family was family plus people who are like family. And it was, I'm doing this amazing thing. Here is the drawing, and it is an adorable drawing of my product that I filed with my provisional patent, saying I filed my provisional patent. This is what I plan on doing. I'm launching in, I think I even had the audacity to say I was launching in April in that email. And I need you to help me along the way. I need your advice. I'd love your feedback. I need your ideas. You've been an incredible resource to me in the past. And I'm going to be calling on you to make sure that I'm doing all the right things leading up to this. Not an ask for money, but hey, just alerting them to the fact. And I got no response from many people that I thought I would get a response from. And then other people like came out of the woodwork and they're like, wait, what are you doing? Like what, like phone calls from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Like, are you saying this is yours? Like this, like explain more. And so that was January. And then I listened to your podcast for 10 hours straight on a drive I had to a courthouse in rural Oregon. And I decided to call you, and I'll never forget that first call. And you asked me a bunch of questions I didn't have the answer to, but you saw something in the product or in me or both. I'm not sure which. And you accepted me into the program, which was awesome. And from there, I started doing the steps, like figuring out my avatar, building my audience. And I would send an email, not on the schedule that you would recommend, much more sporadically, every month to 6 weeks, send an email saying, hey, this is how far I've gotten. This is what I'm planning on doing. And then I really got with the program, so to speak, Khierstyn, in like, I would say a month before the launch is when I got really disciplined about reaching out to the network I had built up. And I was crafting very personal, targeted emails to the incredible people in my life where I said, listen, I know this part of social injustice really irks you, and my product addresses that. And I know that you won't stand by and let this to continue to happen when you have an opportunity to support me and make a difference. So it was very personalized, targeted messages to close supporters in the weeks leading up.
Okay.
And the first one starting 7 months before.
Okay. And when you say, please support me, what did that call to action look like? Because a month out, you're like, I'm launching in a month. I need your support. Is it, can I count on you? Is it, how many bottles are you buying? Is it like?
So I would say that I really sucked as a candidate at that. So that is the much better ask is I need you to contribute at least $1,000. If you're doing call time with a candidate and they don't have a specific ask for the donor on the phone, you're not doing your job and the candidate's not doing their job. I was much more gray about it. What I said was my goal on the first day is $15,000. So I let them know the overall universe size. So they understood that it had to be a significant contribution. And then I think I'd have to look. It was not a good monetary ask, but I ended up asking a few for a specific amount, like, $1,000. But no, I did not do a good job of how many bottles can I count on you for.
No, well, that's okay. So you go from the 1 month before to touch base with them again, and then what happened between the month before and the day you launch?
So following up with emails, a few phone calls, mostly emails, and then many texts. And then the morning of, and lots of anyone I was in front of course, mm-hmm. like speaking to them like, hey, I might have mentioned to you. That's all I think about these days. I'm launching. And they're like, yeah, I know, 7:00. We get it, Lisa. And then at 6:30 a.m. my time, so 9:30 a.m. Eastern, I sent out a text to all of my close friends and said, it's time, it's here. And then my family, and this is where I gamed the system a little bit. I'm just going to be upfront with everybody. You had said it, and going back to Glavin's advice, nobody likes to be the first. So I told my husband, my mom, and my dad, and my brother, you need to buy one of everything as soon as it starts. Everybody buys one of everything. So every perk that was out there, you all need to buy one. And they did. And so I think that kind of broke the ice. And then mm-hmm. it was a flood of contributions after that.
Yeah. And just a little side note for people that are like, oh, great, so I could just dump in my own money. The difference between what Lisa did versus other people is if you just dump in your own money without doing the legwork to validate who your customer is and why they're buying your product, then whatever you have in your video and your page is not going to resonate with your customer. And so your $1,000 or $5,000 that you put in yourself, it's not going to matter because new people who come to your page will be like, what is I don't understand what this is. I don't want it. But the difference in why it worked for Lisa is because you had a really strong pulse on what your customer wanted and you presented your product in a way that resonated with your target buyer. So that's why that worked.
I tried.
Yeah, it worked. You hit your goal in 12 hours.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering about is when it was like the month leading up to it, you did several reminder texts, hey, just make sure you're on board for this. Did you, I guess, did you have any, did you only do reminders like, I need your help, or did you do updates as well to these people?
Yeah.
Like, just keep the content less about a pitch and more about just keeping you on the radar for this?
Absolutely. Updates, not about a pitch. And one of my favorite ones was the crowdfunding explanation one because, asking a bunch of moms to donate or like my old time political colleagues that aren't necessarily that current with all the crowdfunding the kids are doing these days. I sent out an email, and I had been lucky enough to buy a Sondors bike 5 years ago from IndieGoGo, and it's this awesome electric assist bike. Helps me with the hills on my commute to the boat every morning because I take the ferry to work, and I was like, what better way to tell people that crowdfunding works and it's actually a good thing. I got this bike for hundreds of dollars less than it sells for now, and 5 years later it still puts a smile on my face. So I had my husband take a goofy picture of me riding the bike straight at him down our little dirt driveway, and I included that with the update, I don't know, 2 weeks out from the campaign saying, hey, this is how crowdfunding works. You get this awesome discount on really incredible products. You help support something, bring it to life. It's just like a purchase and that you use a credit card, blah, blah, blah. And here's a picture of me. Look how happy I am. This could be you. This could be you. So it was updates and practical content about how to actually be a supporter and a backer.
Oh, I really, really love that. And then I'm curious, why did you choose IndieGoGo over Kickstarter? Because I know you struggle with that decision.
Yeah, it was an easy choice for me ultimately. Everybody speaks about Kickstarter. It made me a little nervous that people were like, say that again, like Indie who? And I said Indiegogo, it's just like Kickstarter, similar platform, but a couple of key differences. No knock on Kickstarter, they do what they do really well, but Indiegogo does a few things better that worked for me. One of them was they sell to more countries than Kickstarter does. They're basically worldwide, whereas Kickstarter has chosen, I think it's 7 or 9 now, and it's the big ones. So that encompasses a large market, but Indiegogo was worldwide. They also allow charitable contributions, and Kickstarter does not. Kickstarter, under no circumstances are you to at all accept funds that are going directly toward some sort of charitable contribution. And I felt very strongly that a major component of my campaign would be to offer backers the ability to contribute something really meaningful to a nonprofit organization. I chose Breastfeeding in Combat Boots, Mom to Mom Global. They're an incredible organization. And so a lot of the guys that wanted to support me and wanted to see me succeed, but had no use for a breastfeeding product, and no need to give it as a gift, they really jumped on the opportunity to make sure women who were actively serving in the military or women who were stationed abroad with their spouses that were serving had such an incredible tool to meet a really important goal for their family. So that was a big reason why I chose Indiegogo. Plus, they were a lot more hands-on with me. They have been a lot more accessible. Kickstarter is enormous and amazing, and they do their own thing, and they do it really well, and they don't need to bother with the likes of me. But Indiegogo took the time to answer a lot of questions early on, advise me about the sort of tribe I needed to be cultivating, and then pay attention when I was a wild success on the first day.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, now that you've done a Indiegogo campaign for this product, do you think you will do another crowdfunding campaign in the future if you have one that, like a product that suits this sort of model?
Yeah, it has been an exhausting process, but I think one of the huge advantages to crowdfunding that is overlooked is that it helps you it creates a hyper focus and a really awesome timeline. And if you are hitting your goals leading up to a crowdfunding campaign, I feel like you're in a great position to scale after that. Because I think it's really easy for founders to get bogged down in the costs or the stresses of everyday life or any one of a million things that pull you in different directions in your life. And a crowdfunding campaign and having that date on a calendar and that goal just pushes you forward in a way that I don't think anything else could. So yeah, the money is nice. And I'm really glad I was able to communicate with my friends and family and build up this insane, awesome community around me. I will be forever grateful for that, but also getting me in a position where I know I'm going to be a successful company moving forward. I mean, the bottles land middle of October. And then some of them to go out to Indiegogo supporters end of September, then October, and then we're off to the races. So, and I wouldn't have had that. I don't think I would be anywhere close to that had it not been Launch and Scale program and this crowdfunding date to get me in gear for it.
No, that makes sense. One thing I do want to talk about, actually, because it's a sore spot for founders, is how do you manage this around life? So I'd like to break it into two sections. First off, how did you manage a strong pre-launch while being a full-time mom and a full-time attorney? Just talking a little bit about the team you had behind you and when you fit in the time to do this.
That's a great question. You mentioned before, like, what questions, would be good to go over. And I thought of this one earlier, and My answer is you just do it. Because I thought about it leading up to this interview. I've thought about all the incredible people you've had on your show and the perspectives you've gotten. And my answer is that you just do it. Because I was a coxswain for the men's crew team in college. And I have had so many people say, that's insane. Don't you guys get up at 5 a.m? Like, what were you doing? Like, how did you manage it all? And the answer any rower would tell you is you just do it. Like, the alarm goes off and somehow you drag yourself out of bed in a zombie-like state and you're suddenly on the water and it's incredible. And then you just go to class and then you just do the work. And this is the exact same way. There is no secret. There is no great coffee recipe that I can give or exactly. Or like list. I'm not a super, I am fairly organized and I am disciplined and I'm driven and I gave up a lot of sleep. I was sick a fair amount. My husband would say that I sacrificed a lot of fun, but for me, this has been an incredible experience and there have been such amazing highs to compensate for the really hard lows. And so the answer is you just plain do it, that you will make it work. I mean, my son is now 1, my daughter is 5. She had seizures last fall, like randomly out of the clear blue sky, and she's fine now. I am lucky to have a supportive husband. I am lucky to have a really awesome job, and I can use a bit of my income, but I really think that anybody can do it. I do not think that I'm special. I don't at all. I think I had a really special idea, and I'm 100% committed to it, but I don't think I'm special, and I don't have a special secret. You just dig in.
Yeah. You did have an intern that was helping you for some lower level stuff.
Yes. So that's true. So I have no staff. I would say the one thing, one of my greatest weaknesses is, like you've said, a lot of founders try to do it all. And I think there are probably a lot of things I could have done better. And a lot of ways that I'm going to need to change to be successful going forward. But I did find a phenomenal intern. First intern bailed in a couple days, few hours, I can't be sure, because she just like fell off the face of the earth. Second intern, who's now really the director of marketing for Series Chill, Ginger Hamlin, is such a phenomenal human being. She is a military spouse stationed with her husband in Texas. So we are working remotely, but just an incredible person. And then one of my great friends, one of my great commuting friends, Abigail Hamilton, has stood by me through the whole thing. She put the website together in the beginning. She helped me come up with my amazing Mama Archer mark. So it was drawing on the resources that were all around me that I had no idea about, and then reaching out and finding an intern who became like a passionate supporter and now employee. But yeah, it was just me going it on my own and not sleeping for the first, I don't know, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. If time has no meaning anymore.
It's just some X by months, yes.
Yeah, right.
And then around the campaign itself, I see, and you didn't make this mistake, but actually, no, before I say that, I take that back. But I see a lot of people kind of launch and they go to work and they're like, why aren't my numbers hitting or like happening? So can you tell me about the first 3 days in your campaign? Were you working? Did you take time off? If you were working, how you structured it?
So I never take vacation, which is a bad human habit. Mm-hmm. I took vacation for this. I made it very clear. I never X off any days on my schedule. There's always an opportunity to show up in court or to help a client. And those days, I just said no to anyone that needed to hear no. And I had a court hearing in the middle of the state. I decided I was going to go to the court hearing and then just keep driving to my parents' house in Spokane, Washington. And my mom was going to look after the kids. And I hunkered down and I woke up at 3 a.m. that morning. and I was ready to go. And I just started like putting all the pieces in place. As you advised, I had emails set up. I had my text to all of my friends ready to go. And I have to say, that's like a random little tip I would give. I had a very cool thread of like 15 of my greatest friends, like one of those crazy group texts that you send out for a party or something, and then too many people are responding, and you're like, oh no, please stop responding to all. Like, just respond to me separately.
Yeah.
But this was cool. This was really cool, and I would recommend it to anybody that's launching. I had this group, and I'm like, okay, now's the time. If you ever loved me, please, you have to support me now. Like, it's in this minute. Like, please drop everything and help me. And it was all of these moms and friends, like guys and girls, saying, I just backed it. Oh my God, I can't believe you're at 5,000 already. Lisa, you're killing it. It's blowing up. And so it was people watching all day, and it really helped keep me going. And it was reassuring to know that they'd supported me. And they were part of it. It was really like this kind of like side team that I had going, and this great group of people cheering me on.
True inner circle text style.
Yeah.
I like it. So because I know you eventually went back to work, but you took what, like the first 2, 3, 4 days off?
So I had wanted to launch on a Tuesday because Tuesdays are supposedly the magic days in crowdfunding. It's when people come back on Monday and they try to get back to work. On Tuesday, they're screwing around on the internet and they're like, oh, sure, I'll just donate to a random crowdfunding campaign. But supposedly any day after that except Friday is a good day to launch. So I launched on Thursday. I took off Wednesday so that's what it was, is I had a hearing on Tuesday. Wednesday, I was up at 3 a.m. just freaking out. Thursday, I was up at 3 a.m. like prepping. And then Friday, it was just following up with everyone that I saw had not contributed, people that I thought had more to give, people who could reach out to others. The group of strangers that had come together around me, I forgot about the strangers and not strangers, but really incredible moms that had been there for weeks or months saying, oh my gosh, I need this. I'm looking forward to supporting you, and reaching out to them again, letting them know there was an opportunity to buy the bottle at a discount. And then I went back to work on Monday. So I had Wednesday, I launched Thursday, then I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I went back to work on Monday.
But I think that's so important, because I've seen people launch and then go to conferences. I've seen people launch and go to work, and what you don't get about the first 3 days is you've spent months building up to the day one, and you do that right. But if you aren't available full time for at least the first 3 days, like the things that you need to be doing at that point is pushing a boulder up a hill. So you need to be there to pitch, press, follow up with everyone, continue to message your whole network. And that's the stuff that really gets you funded and then just pushes over the hill that I think some people really miss the mark on their numbers because they're not there to really drive the momentum. So, yeah.
And if you're doing what I was doing, if you're trying to have that big day in the way I was, by drawing on the people that were personally committed to me and to the bottle, the product, you can't farm that out. You can't pay anybody enough money to make that work. There is no expert out there or amazing administrative assistant that is going to execute on that in the way that only you can. So that's what I would say, is maybe if you've just got this like base of 30,000 emails and your product is, something phenomenal that's going to change the lives of every single person in the world, well then, yeah, who cares about you? Like, just let them know they can get it for like 45% off, and I guess they're in. But yeah. I don't, all of us have that luxury. And so, yeah, for me, it had to be me making those calls, and it had to be me paying attention and staying on top of it.
For sure. Awesome. So is there anything I should have asked you that I did not?
I love this question at the end, and I should have been better prepared for it. But you always ask such great questions. So
thank you.
Yeah. You didn't ask me about the impact of Launch and Scale because you didn't want it to be this like Launch and Scale infomercial, but
Please be my guest. This is not a paid for testimonial, by the way, so whatever you say is whatever you say.
So
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
The community that you've put together, similar to the community that I found, has been life-changing. It's diverse products from people all over the world trying to do really incredible things. I don't know that you are trying to specifically change the world yourself by, making sure these products are successful, but you have chosen people that are really passionate about what they're developing. There's nobody that's just showing up to like hawk some stuff to the public. No snake oil, all really, really cool inventions. I'm thinking of like Cerese's water bottle and like the somersault towel, like Thrive and somersault, and then like Lucy added, like there's so many, but like products that help kids that need to use sign language, like products that help people who are looking for a healthier way to live. And the ideas you get from these incredible, passionate founders and the encouragement, because you will inevitably doubt yourself and your product and wonder if you have put your family's financial life at risk for nothing. Those moments are coming, and the Launch and Scale program has given me perspective and endurance. You always say it's not a sprint, but in some ways it's also not a marathon. It's just this like crazy existence where, as I said, time has less and less meaning, and everything is like either a celebration or a crisis. And being prepared for what's coming at you and going through it with other people who are facing the same challenges I think has been critical to my success. And I am very grateful for it. And it's been a wild ride and a fun life up to this point. And I'm really excited about what lies ahead of me. And I would not have been here without so many people, and certainly without Launch and Scale. So yeah, that's the question that you didn't ask me, and I just had to ask it of myself. So
hey, and that was yours too, whatever. Yeah, I gotta get better at like the shameless promotion.
I know.
Guys
do it all the time. Khierstyn,
they
guys do it all the time.
I know.
We need to be better.
But
we can at least promote each other. We can do that.
100%. I just like making my students look good. Okay, so Launch and Scale is a by application only program because we need to make sure that you as a founder are committed and you have a great product. Why? Because I don't want people in the community with products that are not going to sell, because it just wastes everyone's time and money. So that being said, if you do have a product that you think is like Lisa's, a game changer, and you're having a hard time just getting endurance, as you say, or getting this in front of enough people, you can go and apply by going to Khierstyn.com/launch. There's a bit of information there. Fill out an application. You can book a call with myself or the team. If you don't know how to spell my name, it's KHIERSTYN .com/launch. So that's my shameless plug. For moms that are listening, or people that need a breast milk cooler, where can they go find out more information about Serious Chill and how to get it?
Okay. Yeah, so Serious Chill, it's super simple. It's the name, and it's the goddess of motherly relationships. Yeah, so it's C as in cat, ERESCHILL.com. You can find out everything you need to know there. We will be selling bottles directly, and it is a game changer. The coolers that are out there now are a pathetic excuse for supporting a mom that is trying to return to work and continue breastfeeding. I don't know how it hasn't existed up to this point, but I am happy to be the one to bring it to moms because it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is. And guys, all links will be in the description, so you can just grab that link, or again, serieschill.com. You can access the show notes at the website too, our website, Khierstyn.com. But anyway, that's enough links to throw at you for today. Lisa, this has been awesome. So thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Whatever. So
it's like a dream. It's like a dream to be here with you right now. This is fantastic.
It's great. You're like, the podcast I started listening to months ago, and now here I am. But yeah, good stuff. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I will talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Khierstyn.
I'm just going to
Bye.
awkwardly stop this. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I always love talking to Lisa. She's up to some amazing stuff behind the scenes, and love conversations like this because it helps you guys understand a little bit more about the work we do with campaigns and with some of our clients. And I hope that you guys took away a ton of valuable information and took lots of notes. If you are enjoying the content, please do subscribe. It's going to make sure that you get notified every time we have new content like this. And if you like this content, this video, and you want to see more things like this, please give us a big thumbs up. Apart from that, everything is below this video, links, comments, you name it. So see you next time.